Welcome to the Money Mindset and Marketing Podcast. We are back after a break. And for those of you that have tuned in before, and for those of you that are watching on YouTube, you'll see we're in a different location today. I'm in the house. I'm not in my office. Sat down for a change. And I have my first ever in-person guest rather than them joining me on Zoom. The guest today is my wonderful wife, Becky. Say hi.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about money, but not in the sense of how do we become multimillionaires or anything like that. We're going to talk a bit more about sensible household finance and how we have been able to thrive in some quite difficult market conditions when lots of people are struggling. And this was inspired because for those of you in the UK, we'll be on BBC One on Monday evening at 8 p.m. on Panorama talking about exactly this. So for those of you that don't know a lot about our life, I don't want to do all the talking. B, tell everyone a little bit about our life, like how many kids we have, like what our life's like. Just a little intro about yourself.
So we have 5 kids, busy house, a dog, 3 cats. What do we do, really? We just work as a team, don't we?
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is that, like, teamwork makes the dream work, as they say, and it's something that a lot of you know that obviously I have children or we have children, but I don't think you necessarily know what goes into day-to-day life. And for me to be able to do everything I do and to work as hard as I work and build what I build, you need somebody behind you who is able to take care of the other stuff. So we run our family a bit like a business. Everything when it comes on the front end about our company, because we're joint owners of the company, is my responsibility. Everything on the back end of it, so taking care of the children, making sure the house is in good shape, making sure that we have like as much flexibility in life as possible, well, that rests to this wonderful woman. So for those of you that do want to, just before we get into it, for those of you that do want to go and set your Skybox or your FreeSat box, if that's even a thing, up to record, it's Monday 8 p.m. On BBC One Panorama. It's called Why is Food So Expensive? So I'm looking forward to seeing our appearance on that, and hopefully there'll be lots more that comes after the podcast today as well. But what would you say? Let's try and just take this back. Like, just so you're aware, the podcast is like no holds barred. It's not like TV. You can just say whatever you want. It doesn't matter. Feel free to just be honest and like be super chilled. But when you're in the house, like, what would you say are some of the key things you do to help us have the life that we have?
Probably just keep everything running smoothly, make sure the house is tidy, everyone's got what they need, appointments are kept. We arrange things, days out, trips, everything that you don't really have time to do, I just do naturally, don't I?
Yeah, pretty much. For those of you that can pick it up, I'm not sure how much of the mic can pick up. My wife doesn't have a severe wheeze.
That's the dog.
That's the dog. We have a pug that's joined us who is snoring on her lap. She doesn't have a severe breathing condition. Okay, so talk a little bit about, because like money comes in lots of different ways. You can earn money, you can save money. I've spoken very openly on this podcast before, which I'm sure you're aware of, B, because I'm sure you're an avid listener of the podcast.
Maybe.
But I've spoken a lot about the way to improve household finances is to earn more, because you can only reduce your bills to zero. Like, you can't go any further than that, but you can earn an infinite amount of money. Your approach, as much as you like to earn money, like your approach is very much about saving money.
Yeah.
So for anyone who's listening right now, let's have a look at some of the things that you do that have facilitated these days out. So how do you get us days out that cost either not very much or are free?
I don't know. It's difficult to talk about, really, because it's something that I just naturally do and have always done. But some of the things I do, so like newspapers, for example.
Mhm.
We've had a few free days out, Chessington, Thorpe Park, um, Sea Life Centre, those kind of things, by collecting codes in the newspapers. Set up 2 different accounts, one in your name, one in my name. Um, Collect the codes, you get 2 free tickets each, so that's 4 free tickets to somewhere. So we've done that, what, 3 or 4 times this year?
And let's just look at these things in isolation, because to you it seems simple and straightforward, but for
Yeah.
anyone like listening, I don't really like have a clue even where to get started with this. So let's say, for example, so Thorpe Park, that's a theme park in the UK for anyone who is not from the UK listening. So it's a bit like Busch Gardens or Universal, that type of thing, just a bit smaller. It's quite expensive to get in, especially if you've got 5 children. You're looking at least a couple of £100 entrance to get in. So when you say the papers, like, we don't buy papers.
No.
So where do you get these codes from?
So my mum's friend, well, actually next door neighbour, she gets the Sun newspaper every day, and I just went and asked them to keep it for me so that we could use the codes.
So what you're saying is essentially these codes cost us nothing.
Yeah.
The tickets cost us nothing.
Yeah.
All it takes is the effort of you doing something inside of the local community to find somebody who does buy the paper just to read the paper, and we get to get these things completely for free.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. So literally anyone can do that.
Yeah, anyone can do that. Yeah.
Okay. So then, like, let's look at something else. So there was an app that they kept talking about whilst we were doing this filming for BBC One, Olio. What is the Olio app?
So the Olio app, that's so it's a local app that you put your postcode in or your town in, and it comes up with anyone in the local area, sort of within a 5 to 7 mile radius, something like that, giving away free stuff. So it can be food, it can be non-food, literally just anything that people don't want around the house. They just put it up there and it's completely free. So as long as you're willing to put yourself out to go and collect it, then you can get all sorts of stuff on there.
And that's kind of like a international type app.
Yeah, like anyone can download it. It's local to your area. Obviously, some areas are going to have more stuff than others. Depends how, generous people are, I suppose. Because sometimes you can go on there and there's not much on there, but other times there's loads of stuff. You can get bags of potatoes, you can get dog food, you can get furniture, all kinds of things, really.
So when I hear this kind of stuff, like, what I think of is if we were in a different situation, like let's say we didn't have our kids, but it was just me and you, and we were embracing the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
And I see these things and I'm like, we could basically live for pretty much zero.
Pretty much free, yeah. I think so. If you're not picky anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Like, for those of you that listen, I presume you listen to other people or read other things, and even yourself, be like Gary V and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he always talks about, well, if your rent's expensive, then move. Like, if you can't afford to run your car, then take the bus. But the same can be true in these situations. Like, if you're trying to build your business and you're putting everything you can into it, because the reality is, like, trying to build a business with 5 children, well, it's a handicap. Like, we have responsibilities.
It's hard without the kids.
Yeah, like we can't get around the kids needing new clothes or needing to go to school or needing things at certain times. And that, for anyone else who's listening who's got kids, like, it's a struggle. And I'll never forget one of my first coaches who didn't have any kids. He was just in his mid-20s. He's now in his early 30s. And he would always say, like, now is the time for him to build his business because he doesn't have a family, doesn't have any responsibilities, and it's so much harder if you do. But the reason we're talking about this today, obviously the podcast is money, mindset, and marketing. So it's really focusing on money from a different angle and understanding that you don't just have to not have things. You can have things, but you just have to get creative with how you get them. So there was another app that they spoke about when we were filming. What was that one?
Too Good to Go.
That was it. And what's that?
Too Good to Go. So Too Good to Go is another app. It's similar to the Olio app, but it's not free. But it's like local businesses. So Toby Carveries, Greg's, Costa, Starbucks, those kind of places. At the end of the day, if they've got any produce left, they just put it on there for really cheap, like £2 or £3, and then you can go and pick up a bag of like food or whatever's left over.
And am I right in saying that the bags are always worth like at least £15?
Yeah, so like the Costa one, I think, is worth about £15, but you pay £3 for it.
Okay, so anyone who's not from the UK, Costa is just like Starbucks. It's a big coffee chain, and this is the thing. Like now we're looking at the case of like £3 and you get 15 pounds worth of stuff. That's like a 5 times ROI. Like you're putting £3 in. Imagine if you're running Facebook ads and you had someone told you were going to get a 5 times ROI. You'd be like, yeah, I'm in. I'm going to put 100, 1,000, 10,000 in because I'm going to get 5 times the amount back. Well, you're doing that with these things. Like you're putting £3 in, you're getting a bag of food worth £15. If you're somebody who isn't really too picky on what you're eating, then you're going to get food that saves on your shopping bill. And this may, to some people, just not resonate with them. But having been in a place where I was literally feeding my 2 kids before I was with B, like 8p noodles, because that's all I could afford. If I'd have known stuff like this, it would have meant that we could have actually eaten different food. We could have had things that we just didn't have because I didn't have the cash for it. And I think it's so important to look at this in loads of different ways. So we do a lot of things for the business. Social media is a massive part of business for us for lead generation, but you use it in a different way, don't you? Like, how do you use Facebook?
So I basically scan Facebook all of the time for free stuff or cheap stuff that I can either use in the house for us or the kids, or upcycle to make it something we need. So like when it comes down to Christmas, obviously with the youngest, there's certain toys that they want and they're really expensive, but you can often find them on Facebook Marketplace, and people either giving them away for free or there's a piece missing, so you could just go and replace it, and then obviously, you know, get something for half the price of what you would normally pay.
Okay, so what's the weirdest thing or the best thing that you think you've ever got from one of these sites? Because to me, the skeptic in me, obviously I see you do this, but if I was listening to this right now, I know like the Alan who isn't aware of this would have been like, what? So you're like you're picking up like lemons,
cheap crap, yeah,
like absolute like tat that no one even wants.
It's not tat. Obviously, I'm not going to just bring tat into the house because we could just go and buy it if we wanted to. But to save money, these things are like either in pristine condition or they just take a bit of work, you know, to clean it up. So
yeah, what kind of things have we got from it?
We've got Faye's bed from it.
Okay.
When we first moved in, didn't we? We got Faye's bed,
yeah,
because we couldn't find one that custom sort of fit in the gap. So we found a fold-up bed. Well, it wasn't a fold-up bed, but it's like a metal framed bed that fit in the gap.
Yeah. And that was free.
That was free.
Yeah.
We've got furniture for free. We've got a dog bed for free. We've got what else have we got? We got our mirror in our bedroom for free. We got the sofa in the garage for free.
Oh, yeah.
Like the sofa bed that we've got out there.
So that in itself, like that's like hundreds and hundreds of pounds of stuff literally for free. And the stuff just looks like new. And I think like this is a side of my life definitely that I've never really spoken about. And a lot of people look at, I think, our life from the outside and presume we just buy everything brand new and we are not very savvy with money. But as you can,
the opposite actually, isn't
yeah,
it?
As you can see, like we have nice things because we are savvy with money. So when we do go and buy something brand new that's really nice, it's because we've been savvy in the other areas that have allowed us to be able to do this. Because like one of the other areas, like charity shops, and I think this is something we touched on the program actually. Like,
I love charity shops.
Yeah,
they're like my favorite place.
And like you've got a whole host of things in there, from like high-end designers like Gucci clothes for the kids, through to like just general like daily stuff. But like talk a little bit about when we go in there with £10. Like, what do we do?
So, well, it's a hobby, isn't it? Really, we both enjoy it. Go in there with £10 into a charity shop, see what we can find. Just like things like mugs, teddy bears, designer clothes, if there's anything in there. Just pick up what we can and then search for it on eBay or somewhere like that to see what it's selling for and then resell it.
Yeah, like, and we've been able to take £10 and turn it into nearly £100 quite easily on several occasions, haven't
like
we?
Limited edition teddy bears, Disney bears, mugs.
Yeah, the key with this, like, it's kind of a cross between like bargain hunt and like, I don't want to say dumpster diving because we're not diving in dumpsters, but like storage wars or something like that, where you've you've gone into a shop. The key thing is making sure that the thing is going to sell.
Yeah.
So checking it on eBay, just go to completed listings. And Gary Vee talks about this with garage sales, but we don't really have garage sales in the UK. So charity shops are a great place to do it, along with like retail arbitrage, like going into a clearance section in like Tesco's, like a major supermarket like
Yeah, we did it
Tesco's
with
or
mirrors, didn't we? Those mirrors.
TK Maxx, anything like that. We managed to pick up these small mirrors that had lights on them. They were being sold for like what, £2 or something.
Yeah, it was like clearance £2, and then
They were reduced from like 15, and then we sold them at 15. And you make that margin. And yes, it takes a bit of work, and yes, there is postage. Could you have a full-time income from that? Maybe, but you can absolutely supplement your income by doing these types of things. And it's about looking, I think, at the household budget. And if you've got kids, get them involved. Like, get the kids involved in the process so that they learn these skills, because like entrepreneurship can start at a very young age. And I think that you can make or save as much money as you want to make or save. It's about looking at things creatively instead of just always thinking like my job and my bills. Like, well, what else can we do? Like, how can we get creative with things? Because Christmas is coming every year, and we're only a few weeks away from it this year. Think how much money you spend on stuff unnecessarily. And a lot of it, I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but why do you think people have to buy things brand new? Why do you think people do it?
I think ego comes into it a lot of the time. I think people like think, oh, if it's from a charity shop, it must be like dirty or skanky, or they don't want to be seen going in there. I think a lot of it comes down to that, to be honest, because so many people, I think, buy things brand new when they can't afford it anyway. When really, I mean, think of all the things that I've got off Facebook for free, like buggies, prams. Even if we didn't use them for our kids, I've cleaned them up, made them look new again, and sold them for like £100, and I've got it for free. That £100 then goes on something we actually really want, or towards Christmas, a kid's birthday, a day out, and it's basically then free, isn't it?
Yeah, like I'd say ego is a massive driver behind it, because you don't want to feel like you need charity or a handout, or you don't want to be seen to not pay in some situations as much as possible, because it strokes your ego in some way that you're this big thing. And that's kind of talking from experience. Like, that's definitely a place I've been at points.
Everyone remembers that time going into a charity shop with their mum or their nan or something and being like, oh my God, I don't want my friends to see me in here.
Yeah.
Like, there's a stigma attached to it, isn't there?
I mean, they do smell weird though.
Yeah, they do smell weird. But the amount of, I think with Deacon, especially when he was younger, baby clothes, obviously babies aren't in them very long. And I think, do you remember that time I went into a charity and got like Gap jumpers, Ted Baker jumpers, Ralph Lauren jumpers? They were like 50p.
Yeah.
And then he wore them for an entire winter, and then I sold them for like a tenner each.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, I mean, I do want to come back. Why do they smell weird? Like, why do charity shops smell weird? Because the clothes don't smell weird, like the people don't small weird, but the shops, they all smell the same. Yeah. It's like they have this special air freshener, like charity shop smell.
Like, yeah.
But you're right. Like, being able to go in there, and I think looking at it creatively and being like, okay, look, we need some clothes for a baby who's going to grow like some Japanese knotweed. It's literally going to just not stop growing. Yeah, it's lovely to have a Ted Baker jumper for it, but who's going to spend or a Ralph Lauren jumper? Who's going to spend 40 or 50 quid on a jumper or more? It's going to last for a couple of months.
Well, people do, and that's the thing. People do buy them new. Their kid grows out of it, and then I pick them up for 50p.
Idiots, the lot of them. Idiots. And I think that's the thing, like 50p, or even let's say it was a fiver. Let's say you were in an
expensive charity
shop who were pushing their margins, and you paid a fiver for it. If you can then resell that for £5.50 when you finished with it, you've made a profit. Like,
yeah, and you've used it.
And you've used it. Like, it's filled the gap, and then you've made your money back and more. And if you want to get really technical about it, you could just add a price that equates to inflation. So add like 15% to it, and then you're making an actual like profit from it. So it's about looking at things in a different way. And I just wanted this episode to really show people that you can get super creative when it comes to making money. Like, social media and running an online business is super sexy. on the outside. On the inside, it's not sexy at all. But actually, the underpinnings of daily life are what allow the business to thrive. Like, yes, the business pays the mortgage. Like, yes, it pays our main household bills. Like, no buying and selling clothes from charity shops replaces that. It probably could, but it doesn't. But it does allow us to have success in other areas of life without having to just squeeze that main income source all of the time, which allows us to do more with it. And I think the thing for me is that, like I said earlier, like, we've both been in tough situations in life, haven't we, beforehand? Yeah. And it's about thinking, if we knew then what we know now, how much easier life would be.
Yeah, well, for me, that's where it all started, though, because that's where obviously I started doing all this stuff, because I didn't have any money and wanted nice things for the kids and wanted nice things for myself. And also, from a very young age, wanted to save for a house. So in my mind, I always put my bank account to zero and lived as if I was skint, even though I wasn't. That's where it all started for me, getting free things. Like, to me, it's a buzz, getting something for free and then getting use out of it and then selling it for a profit makes me happy. So I just do it with everything.
So, not to put you on the spot here, but if you could give a couple of tips, what would be your top, like, 2 or 3, or if more if you've got them, tips to help somebody get started in the world that you operate in?
I don't know. I think the first thing probably is to not be lazy. In the sense of, I think when I've spoken to people about this before, it's always, well, I don't have time to do that. I'm always busy. I'm too busy working. I've got a real job and things like that. But then everyone finds time in the evening to sit scrolling on TikTok or sit scrolling on Facebook for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever. Use that time. Use that, an hour of your evening to sit on Marketplace, Facebook, see what's in your local area, join groups. There's so many groups on Facebook that are like free groups giving away stuff, because even people, like, that have had family members that have died or moved out, or they need to clear a house or whatever, people just give stuff away for free all of the time. So if you just spend a bit of time to add yourself to the groups on Facebook, whatever your local town is called, like mine is Littlehampton, so free stuff in Littlehampton, free cycle, those kind of things, you just find stuff from there.
So don't be lazy. Add yourself to some Facebook groups. Any other big tips, or any other, like, places or apps that you'd recommend people use?
Well, obviously for food, like the Olio app and the Too Good To Go app that I've obviously said about. I'm just trying to think what else I do.
What, like, one area that I think people would have questions about is, how do you separate yourself from being in a situation where you just walk around your house, like, just selling everything because you start to get a buzz from making money, versus selling stuff that, like, you do? Like, how do you differentiate when is the right time to sell something and what wouldn't you sell?
Well, that's just comes down to common sense, doesn't it, really?
I don't know.
Like, if you're walking around your house going, what can I sell to make money, and you actually need the thing, then obviously it's not worth it. But if you've got a baby that's about to grow out of their cot and you were going to take it to the tip or donate it to a charity shop, then obviously, think about listing it on Facebook, think about putting it up for sale, make some money on it, turn it into a cot bed, do something else that's going to obviously, increase your chances of making money on it, really.
So essentially, like, stuff that you are physically you don't need anymore.
Yeah, like Christmas is a prime time. I've just started doing it with Deacon's Toys, haven't I? He had a massive Paw Patrol tower, which I got off Facebook last year for free. No, I think I bought it for like a tenner off Facebook, but he's used it for the year. I've cleaned it, washed it, put new batteries in it, sold it for 25 quid. So not only has our son got a decent present that would have cost about £100 originally, I've bought it for hardly anything and then sold it for more after getting the use out of it. And I think people just need to, I don't know, just look around their house and think, well, if I'm not using it, it might as well go. Vinted is another one, actually, isn't it?
Yeah.
That I use a lot. Vinted for clothes, especially things like designer clothes or anything that's in really good condition. You can just sell things on Vinted for not even that much, 5 quid, 6 quid, 10 quid, whatever, and then post it off. It's free to do. It's a free app. You don't pay for postage. You've just got to put yourself out, I think, because you've got to go to the post office or a drop-off place. But that's another way of making loads of money. I mean, I think I picked up a pair of do you remember those Nike trainers I got from a charity shop? I picked up a basically new pair of Nike trainers for like £3 from a charity shop, and I sold them for £55 on Vinted.
Boom, a pair of Nike Shocks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And I think this is the thing. So, like, you can see, like, there is lots and lots of examples of times that, like, she's done it. It's not a case that we're talking of hypothetical things that you could do, or like you see sometimes like Gary V posts about it on YouTube and stuff, where he has like a little team himself and a couple of other people who go out and go through like garage sales. And like, it's a great program to watch, but ultimately you're like, well, how big was the team that ended up doing the research that like found all the car boot sales or garage sales, and then how many people in his team had to list the items, post the items? This is one woman doing all of it. I might occasionally drive her to the drop-off point if I'm going out with her, but she has like 5 kids in the house. She has a husband, an actual house, and like, yes, obviously I help and chip in to do things, but this is her domain that she runs, and this is something she does in addition to everything else she has to do. So I would challenge you. Like, I'm somebody that with this podcast, I always like there to be a tangible benefit to you investing 30 or 40 minutes of your time listening to it to get something from it. And one of my mentors, Grant Cardone, he has this challenge at the beginning of most of the programs he does of go and make $100 today. So if you're in the UK, make £100. If you're in Europe, make €100. If you're in the US, make $100. Don't give a shit what country you're in. Your goal is to make 100 in your currency this weekend or over the next 48 hours from listening to this podcast. And I want you to come back to either me, so on Instagram, it's Alan Miles _, or add Becky, drop her a message and let her know the success that you have. Hers is Becky.Miles89. Super catchy. So that's Becky.Miles89. You can see she has literally nothing to sell because she's already sold it all. No, she has no program to sell like most of our guests. Like, she does this because she loves our family and she loves what she does. And I want to share it with you as an audience. Like, if you are up for the challenge, whether you need the money or not, like if you're an entrepreneur,
it's easy. It's easy to do.
Yeah, it's super easy. So a couple of options: either look around. First option, look around your house. What are you not using? See if you can sell it. Like, see if it is selling on eBay. Go to sort it by sold and completed items, and you'll see what price things are selling for. List it.
Vinted is a good one.
Vinted if you're selling clothes, and get at least 100 pounds or dollars or euros or fucking pesos, whatever, collected over the next 48 hours and share it with us. I'm going to encourage Becky to share more tips, because this stuff you can see, like, once the nerves have kind of worn away on the podcast, like, and she really just gets into talking about it, you're super passionate about it, and it's something that you're great at. So you need to share this.
It's because I don't really know how to talk about it, because to me it's natural. When you said to me, like, oh, I want you to talk about what you do, I was like, what do you mean? Because to me it's just natural. I've done it for so long. You know, if I'm in town because I've got to go and post a letter, I will go, oh, I'll quickly pop into the charity shop. It's not like I put myself out and think, right, today I'm going to go around 10 charity shops and it takes all my time up. It's just something I just do in the day.
Yeah. So if you're interested in finding ways to save money and ways to make more money and help your house excel, maybe it's you that does it yourself, maybe your partner does it. If it is, get your partner to listen to this. If you work as a team on it, listen to it together. Me and B are a team. We do everything together, like peas in a pod. I love this woman to death. Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today.
You're welcome.
And it's a shame that I had to come second to the BBC, but I will accept that. Please be sure to leave us a 5-star review. We will be back again next week. We have a slightly different format for the podcast for this season. There will be more podcasts, one-on-one, intimate, hot and heavy with myself. And then we will have guests who come in to talk about specific topics every couple of weeks. And hopefully they can live up to my wife. Thanks again for listening, guys. And I will see you all soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.